think we're set. Ready to go. I'm gonna pull up the agenda and then we'll officially call them to order. So we had to move in here because as you can hear, the information meeting for planning and zoning is going on over there. So with that, we're changing the date. I think we have worked so hard to get this date. So, okay, we'll improvise, we'll come in here, and I think we'll be okay. So far it's working. I'm gonna share my screen. Can you see this? Attorney, can you see this?
Yes. Rock and rolling. Don't worry. All right, so it is 6:12. We call the meeting officially to order. I'm gonna turn the volume up on here a little bit so we can hear. All right, you can still hear us? Yes.
First of all, I'll say that 10 times. Can you hear us? Can you hear us? 6:12, we're gonna call the meeting officially to order. We'll do a quick roll call to make sure that we have a quorum present. We'll start with who I can see, so. Member Elijah. Member Jennifer, present. Andrew. Member Andrew is not present yet. Member Jeff. Member Chris.
Present.
And member Joy. So we do have one. Hopefully Andrew can join us. He did respond, so he was available, but life happens, so hopefully we'll reach out to him just to make sure everything's okay. So the first thing on our agenda is to approve the IGA between Development Authority and the city. So let me give a little history before we get into that topic, and the history will help the other topics as well. The prior Development Authority did not have an IGA with the city. So although we are our own separate entity, there are many resources that the city lends to the Development Authority, which were not agreed upon in any formal way. So because of that, there was a lot of disconnect between the Development Authority and the city. So the city council wanted to, in agreement to put the Development Authority back together, formalize an IGA between the city and the Development Authority. That way the authority understands what the city's role is and what the authority is asking of the city and vice versa. So that, for instance, we're in this building, but the city is paying for the expenses that are running this building. Luckily, we have another meeting, so it worked out. But let's say our next and future meeting, we're the only ones here. Well, the city's paying for the lights, the security, the staff, not the Development Authority. So things like that are just formalized in the IGA to say the city will extend blank resources, and so the Development Authority will have that benefit, and then vice versa, the Development Authority will extend whatever it wants to the city, and then we have formalized that agreement. So that way everybody's clear and concise on who's playing what role. So that you have not ever seen that in the past because it did not exist. This is the first time that the Development Authority and the city are going to enter into an IGA for business. If you hopefully you have a chance to read the IGA, you'll notice a couple things that are in there that you may certainly have questions about. One is the attorney, the legal counsel for the Development Authority. We have legal counsel on the line today, who is actually the city's legal counsel. He is on the line to make sure that we're following by Open Meetings Act and we're kind of following the standard rules that apply to an open meeting, but he is not here to represent the interests of the Development Authority. He is here so that we can have a meeting legally and that we don't do anything illegal while we're in a meeting. So you'll notice that in the IGA, the city council, the city and mayor want to offer that the city will pay for the legal attorneys, both regular attorney and any special attorneys that it needs, in exchange for the city council and mayor appointing who that is. So that's a part of the IGA. You'll notice that the executive director for the development authority, I'm just giving examples of what they're, I'm not gonna go through the whole thing, I promise you. I don't have the whole thing memorized. A lot of it. The executive director would be a member of the city's employees, the development authority. And this, at this point, this IGA would not have its own staff. Obviously, staff costs money, it costs time. The city would appoint the director, the executive director, who will be a member of the Stonecrest employment. I venture to say that that would be the director of economic development, which is, I think, the most appropriate person to be involved. But the city will get together and kind of decide who that is. My recommendation will be that it is the director of the government. Trying to think of the things that count the most. The other thing that to me stands out the most is that there's an agreement that and that the person from the governing authority who's representing the city on the development authority will serve as chair of the development. That's probably the three major changes, or what I guess they're all changes, but I think the things that highlight the most about how the board and the city will function together. A lot of that feedback is because we want both the city and the development authority to work hand in hand. Even though we are technically two separate independent bodies, the development authority and all of around development authority are designed to help the city, are designed to partner with the city, and designed to really bring to fruition what the vision is for the city. To operate separately means that there's two brains making decisions that may not necessarily complement one another. The way the IGA structures itself so that we can work as partners. The development authority is advancing the goals and the vision of the city's development and not creating its own ideas of what the city government development should be. And it's working hand in hand with the city's economic development department so that we're meeting the same goals. If we operate separately, then there's chaos and confusion. And since the governing body sets the future land use, sets the comprehensive plan, is doing the economic development plan, it's a little strange to think we can operate separately and still achieve the goals. So that's a little bit of history about why we presented an IGA form that we've never done before. So I'll stop there. You want to chat a little bit about what you see in the IGA and things you might want to discuss?
Yes, my question about the director.
Okay.
And one thing that when I went through everything, I saw where, and I didn't quite understand it, and didn't know how to put it in, writing to you. I figured we could do it tonight. It said that the committee could do like outside committees, like another committee from the community could select that. So that would be a certain committee. Who would determine those bylaws?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, in the bylaws, and are you talking about the bylaws, not the IGA?
No, I'm talking about the IGA. It said that you could have select a committee from the community.
Okay. That should align with the bylaws. The bylaws say that the development authority can have committees. So let's say that we wanted to have a committee solely focused on the Panola Road corridor. You could assign a committee, ask for volunteers from the community to be a part of that committee that would give you feedback about development we wanted to see on Panola Road corridor. You can have another committee just for the Stonecrest Mall area. So we can decide to have different committees from the development authority to help get feedback or pass ideas around about things that we're interested in. You don't have to do committees. It's just the development authority has the ability to do that.
And you answered the part about the attorney because, and then I was a little confused there too. So is this an attorney that this committee selects, or do you use the attorney from the city?
Well, the city will select, we agree to the IGA, the city will select the attorney. I don't imagine that the city will select its same attorney.
Oh,
It could, but I don't think it would. Now, I'm only one person who doesn't have a vote on the other side, but I don't think it would be odd to me that the city council would appoint the city attorney to be the development authority attorney. And I doubt that he would, or she, because there's a group of them, would even accept that.
Mhm.
They have a lot of work on the city side already. I can't imagine that they would want to do both. I think it's advantageous that we keep that separate and appoint a separate attorney for the development authority, separate and aside from the city. That would definitely be my recommendation to the city. And also any special attorneys. So I envision that the development authority will need a regular attorney and then a special attorney. The special attorney to deal with complicated financial matters, such as tax abatements, bonds, and anything else that an incentive package would create. I think that the development authority would be well suited to have special attorneys to deal with complicated financial matters, especially because deals can come in many different sizes and many different formats. You can have a very simple tax abatement, or you can have an incentive package that stretches over 50 years, upwards of X millions of dollars, that can get very, very complicated. So I think it would serve us well to have both a regular attorney and a special attorney, which the city would cover the cost. So long as we agree that the city would select who they are.
What is the, in understanding and reading over the section about real estate, what is the process of I'm new to, you guys.
Everybody is.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. All right, yeah, not everybody. Okay. What is your vision and how is that gonna exactly work? Being that, the executive director, you answered that, they'll be signing off on everything. Purchases or what the city does, I was trying to understand.
Well, the executive director wouldn't sign off on land deals.
Okay,
That would be the chair.
I'll be the chair. Okay.
That the executive director would work hand in hand to make sure that the liabilities and assets as things move on is overseen, because they work for the city full time. So their job is, they're always here.
Right.
Kind of having a staff member that can always attend to your needs versus trying to find one of us that's available on an evening to try to get some of that done. So the development authority would still own the property. So, and it depends on what the deal is. So I'm speaking to that as if we're talking about a certain deal that the development authority would have ownership in, right? Not all deals work that way. Right. Just giving it that. But the executive director would simply kind of be the custodian of what that is. But it would not, the city would not take ownership of those assets or those liabilities. They would still stay with the development authority, which is by law. So even today, the properties of an investment, liabilities and assets that the prior development authority owned, this one does as well. We now have taken ownership of that. We the board, not you personally. We the entity. And any future members, we the entity own whatever liabilities and assets that the prior development authority took ownership of.
And I know that a lot of it was saying that in terms of purchasing property, what have you, it's safe to assume that when we identify a property to purchase, that it will have to wait until a council meeting or a work session. That safe to, it was something about giving council approval or city approval.
Yeah, so I don't think that's intended, and Attorney Young, you're on the line. I don't think that's intended to say that the pen cannot be stroked until after the vote. But the idea is that, again, we're moving in with the same direction as the city. So if the, I'm going to give an example of something that would not be good. So the development authority decided we want to buy all of Panola Road. And the city said, well, that's not an area that we want to develop. Let's say we said we're going to buy all of Panola Road and we're going to take it from commercial to residential. We want all of Panola Road to be residential. And the city would say, well, God, no, that's not the vision that we have for Panola Road, right? So the idea is that the city would have some input to say, that's not the direction we want you to develop in, you know, that's not the incentive that we're looking for, that's not, let's talk about that before the development authority puts pen to paper, because that's not aligned with. it. So the idea there is to keep us connected. So that it's not, we're not just roads kind of developing with a vision that's not set by the state. You want to jump in there and give some more to that, or did I just do it some justice?
Mayor Cobble, I believe you've stated it well. And the IJ's purpose is to make sure that the lines are clearly drawn on what the city council could be involved in and what the SDA could allow the city to be involved in. So I don't really have anything further to add from what Mayor Cobble has stated.
Mayor, how closely will this committee work with the economic development team staff?
Very close, very close. Probably, that would be the department that we work closest with, of all the departments.
And we would meet with them and
If,
they would call a meeting.
well, so long as I imagine that the city council will appoint, I can't remember if it's the city council or the city manager now, to appoint who that employee is, so long as that's the economic development director, they will be in every meeting.
Mhm.
They will be,
Oh, okay.
it's at the table during the conversation. He couldn't make it today. And technically he is not appointed today, but I did ask him to be here.
What's his name? 'Cause I have many of them.
William Smith is our economic development director. Yeah. If the city council goes down that path, he will always be here. Whoever the executive director is will always be at the development authority.
Oh, okay.
So long as, life doesn't happen and they can't. But other than that, they'll be here all the time. So let's say that the city council went a different direction and did not appoint the economic development director, they appointed somebody else as executive director, I would still ask William to be at the meeting with us. You can't do economic development without the development. I mean, it's just, so I don't imagine we'll go down a different road, but if we did, we would then have two people. We have whoever the executive director is and the economic development director. I don't see us working. Excuse me, without each other. Excuse me. There's usually water in here. I think it's always working together with economic development. Maybe there's water in here. Anything else you have about the IGA? Could we bring it up here? Does that help? I have it on pulled up. Ooh, right. Looks like it's okay, yeah. We'll definitely go back and do both. And it's right here on the agenda too. Right there. Public comment.
Oh.
Brian, I expected you to chime in and say, Mayor, you didn't do public comment.
After somebody else has been escorted from the building.
Well, if you do that kind of public comment, you will be too. Well, since we jumped in this topic, let's wrap this up and then we'll go back. Got you. My apologies. We started so late because I couldn't get the computer working, so I just jumped right in. You want to keep going through the IGA? You have any more questions about the IGA? We're solid there? Okay. Let's take public comment and then we'll come back and do an official vote. All right, we'll take public comment. Read this little blurb right now. The overall limit in public comments is 20 minutes, limited to minutes per speaker. Speakers can only speak more than public comment. Public comments are restricted to the topics that should not be Parks and Recreation. Restricted to the topics regarding the development authority. You know, 3 people look at this and nobody saw it. I will start the timer. Mr. Knight, you want to go first?
That's all right.
It's on coming first. It's kind of go. All right. Ms. Colton, you want to start? You can, you don't have to. You can if you want to, but you don't have to.
Hello, welcome to y'all.
I'm a little closer to Ms. Colton so the microphone can hear, can catch you.
I'm glad that committee has been created and very excited. I have something that's going on right now that needs help. Have a property that ends up working with Aspire construction and design company that I'm trying to cater to studio and 2-bedroom audience. And right now my block Chuck Road is a very main corridor from the Bowling Industrial and Chuck Hudson Highway. Right now we have 3 developments going on right now. There's 240 apartment development across the street from me, 2 doors to my right, 270, almost finished. And directly right next door to me is senior housing. I thought it was just 122 apartments, but no, they come in with a whole big development that goes from Chuck all the way down to the little side road, Littleville, with commercial components. My development is mixed use development, which was approved January 22. I'm thinking, wow, I'm not a developer. I'm just moving up, trying to, and right now I'm getting the design for the build, and right now I need the support and help in terms of redevelopment financing. I need to give approximately $2.5 million. Right now I'm looking for help 20% for redevelopment. I'm willing to work with the city to make the affordable portion, which is going to be a mixed use 10%, mixed use of commercial, and the rest about 20, 35 apartments. We cater to the low income and some people that can't afford 1 bedroom. Some people can roommate together with 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, 2 cold.
Ms. Colton, I have to stop you there for 2 minutes.
Like, in terms of working on a committee, yeah, I would love that. My student is commercial, industrial, and residential. And I would think that the developers would appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Colton. Mr. Knight, you ready?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to say hello. As the mayor knows, and Mr. Seabrooks knows, and some of the rest of you, I'm the chairman of the group. I'm also on the board of the business line. Mr. Seabrooks, I'm really glad to have him here. It's very exciting. Normalization. I want to thank the mayor and city council for making this happen. Just so pleased that you did, because we do need to move forward with the work of the development authority, above board and in proper way. And Mayor, I'm just so pleased to hear that there's going to be a reference over to the city's zoning and comprehensive plan and a coordination of that. As Mr. Seabrooks will tell you, the emphasis of the business alliance, which is in the mall area, has always been the LCI plan, that 2013 LCI plan, which we believe is in helping get established. It seemed, unfortunately, that the prior iteration of the development authority just was not aware of the LCI plan or chose not to follow it at all. And I think you'll see that a lot of what has happened just made no reference. So we're full and other things. And by the way, the LCI plan is part of our comprehensive plan in Stonecrest, that going forward, that there will be a reference to that, and that everything that is proposed for consideration by this authority will at least take that into account. So thank you all very much. Thank you in advance for your service. It's going to be a lot of hard work. It's great to see you all here tonight. Thank you for the chance to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Knight. We got 2 minutes now. You must done. All right, that's the only public we have, so I'm assuming that's the only public comment that we have tonight. We'll jump back into the agenda. I'm gonna pull it back up for us. So are we satisfied with the discussion on the IGA? If so, we'll need a motion on the floor to approve the IGA, and then we'll need a second, and then we'll vote. Is there a second?
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded to approve the IGA between Development Authority and the City of Stonecrest. All those in favor, please respond with yay. All those not in favor with nay. Yay. The IGA passes with unanimous consent. So we'll move on to item B, which is to adopt the bylaws. So you should have also had a copy of the bylaws as well. I'll pull it up for us here too. We can start the discussion on the bylaws. You should have noticed that there was a couple of red lines in the bylaws that you received. I'll walk through a couple of them. The first one you see, the bylaws, we struck that no one from the governing body can be a part of the board. The city council changed the city's code to allow for only one member of the governing body to be a part of the development board, which actually is what the state law says. So our code says something different than the state law. Our code, your code can be more restrictive, it can't be less restrictive. But we decided that we need to have a representative from the governing body on the development authority, that connectivity and taking the strategy to line. So you just made that code, that change in the bylaws to reflect the change in the city code. You'll see, like in the IDA, I mean, obviously the bylaw versus against the IDA, you'll see that under the officers, we added the bylaw that the member who represents the city on the development authority would serve as the development authority chair, which aligns again with the IDA. You'll see that we not pertaining to the officers, we do a lot about this. There should be a chair, vice chair, secretary, treasurer, or treasurer. So the secretary, treasurer could be combined. Or they could stay separate. We just struck a delegation of because it didn't align with the titles and the other two officers. The other one said duties of, and then the officer name, this one didn't, so we just made it the same. Legal counsel secretary of the and in alignment with the IPA, the mayor and council will decide to see what will appoint the attorney for you, and then obviously pay the bill, which is the most important. Changes in section 5.5, trying to make it more clear. Basically, what this says is the line of the Open Meetings Act that says that the members can attend the meeting by teleconference, either Zoom or telephone. I think it is twice a year, just twice a year, if there's a reason for illness or you're outside of the jurisdiction, so you're not in the city limits. You're allowed to attend the meeting, and this applies to all Open Meetings Act, so it applies to the city council as well, and any other, like the planning commission, any other official board, authority, or council that must follow the state Open Meetings Act. So we just wanted to make that clear. It felt like the language did not actually call out the number of times that you could do that and the reason. So we just took the words right out of the code and put them there. So that's all that.
You'll notice here in alignment with the IGA, if we make any amendments to the bylaws, that they must go to the city council and mayors to approve before the zoning authority can officially start to begin to act. And again, that's just to keep things aligned. So you may have, well, we're gonna issue the bylaws now. We'll vote on that, and then that will go to the council, with the IDA. The city council will decide. If the council is voted on the draft, the item, let's come here first, talk about it, and negotiate it, get final versions back. So both the IDA and the amendments will be voted on by the city council, and then they solidify and codify. And short and sweet. All right, so you want to talk about it?
Good
discussion.
For clarity purposes, to attend virtually, that if you're sick, or you just have the opportunity to attend virtually. What?
No, you have to have one of those two reasons, health reasons or you're out in jurisdiction. Now, if we were to, like we did during the pandemic, if the city was to institute a state of emergency and everything goes virtual, then all committees, sports authorities, everybody follows the same step. So while we're in person under no state of emergency, we're all in person. Every committee, every authority, every council meeting, every special call council meeting, everything. All right, if there's no more discussion, we'll take a motion to adopt the changes to the bylaws.
Make a motion to adopt the changes to the bylaws.
We're probably moving second to adopt the changes to the Stonecrest Development Authority bylaw. All those in favor? Yay. Not in favor, nay.
Yeah.
Yay for me as well. That passes with unanimous. All right, let's talk about election of officers. So now that we've adopted the IGA and the bylaws, we've also essentially decided who the chair was. And that's me. I'm honored to serve as your chair. So we need to vote a vice chair, secretary, treasurer, but the secretary, treasurer can be combined. So we can have a secretary, treasurer, we can have a secretary and a treasurer according to the bylaw. So we'll need to, I guess, first decide if we want to do, let's go backwards. Do we want secretary, treasurer to be combined?
What are the duties? Say those again.
They are.
Secretary.
So the secretary is gonna take minutes. People record their meeting, so minutes can be done after the meeting. Or prior to the meeting.
I was just trying to see that it'd be too much, you know. Minutes, so.
We have to do it by law, and the idea is we say that the city employees will do it. So we have to, now, we figure out.
No, I mean, to combine the two positions is what I meant.
So the treasurer on your, like most treasurers, the treasurer is responsible for the bank. All the funds, and that's one of our last items on but the treasurer will keep all the financial information, oversee all of the funds, be the person who will be labeled on the bank account to make those transactions. Secretary would do people kind of secretary would basically take minutes, roll call, and be responsible for delivery of documents and information electronically. The chair will help with that as well, of course, is making sure we all get documents. Really, the secretary is more so making sure that we have all the minutes and they're properly written.
Doesn't have to be a member of the board.
it technically does not have to be a member of the board. The chair and vice chair do, but the secretary treasurer does not. Okay.
Could possibly the executive director appoint, a secretary treasurer.
They could, but they could not appoint a city employee.
Okay.
Well, let me say this, the city would have to agree to that.
Mhm.
They could certainly ask. But it's not in the IGA. So we probably have to come back and amend the IGA. It's not. So the secretary, are you feeling like that more for the secretary or the treasurer? Obviously, the treasurer could not be. City employee. But that is the person who will have rights to the bank account. So do you want that person not to be on the board? Treasurer?
It's separate.
Separate, you have a secretary who was not, and the treasurer who is.
Just for discussion, why do you want the secretary to be outside of the board?
I don't necessarily, I just noticed that it was something like this, like could be, not necessarily a number. Are we nominating people?
Yeah. Maybe. Or missing one. That's kind of-
You know, if Andrew wanted the third one.
No, I don't.
Everything. Aha. It's coming back here, right?
I think it's gonna be hard for us to gauge at this very moment how much work that was.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, they got to grow over time. We may just, appoint now as it grows, come back and take a look at, is that working? Is it, is it too much for someone? Is it not, it's gonna be really hard to gauge the workload here right this second. Today won't be much, it's one meeting, we'll meet again, but as time goes on, the minutes are a little bit easier because you can do it after the meeting, go back and listen to the meeting, write the minutes, not as difficult.
And it would be okay to electronically do them as well. In some of the meetings that I've seen, they'll have the AI scribe or whatever basically go through and do all of the notes and stuff like that for the meetings, and then you just basically have to make sure that it assigns the right name and all of it.
There's, it does not designate a very specific way that you have to. We have to always follow.
Okay.
You just gotta be able to. And then the city will, post them in. I need to work on doing the development authority page. What page to post them? They'll be available for anyone who wants to get them. We all have one. It's not a problem. Well, we want to be posted, but folks can get it without having to come here.
On the previous committee that we had, how much work that was, but to combine the two.
They did not combine the two.
No.
I would say two different people that way. If somebody's sick or something happens or whatever, you've got that other person hopefully that's able to hold that in. And then I'll put out there just for my purposes. I can't serve as treasurer just because I have security licenses and my employer won't allow me to do that.
Like you're volunteering for secretary.
So I'm registered by security licenses,
Oh,
and because I deal with money on my day job, I cannot deal with it on any committees or boards that I serve on.
Oh, yeah, do they do, I forget because that's what I do, because like on every job that I've ever had, they do checks, background checks, and they do credit checks on you. I don't know if they do that here, at the city. Anytime you're dealing with money like that,
All right. Need nomination.
Vice Chair first.
We'll take, you want to take treasurer first or secretary first,
What about Vice Chair?
or vice chair? So have we decided that we're gonna keep secretary treasurer separate? We're gonna have one secretary and treasurer. We're not gonna combine.
I'm sure he doesn't want them both together.
Put together.
Bear with the technology with AI to transcribe electronic.
I've heard of.
He
Not
knows.
volunteering for secretary.
Hey,
Nomination. Gentlemen.
Somebody had to show me how to-
There's a nomination on the floor for secretary.
I second that.
Maybe I can ask the clerk's office, maybe our clerk's office has some tool they use, because they gotta transcribe 4 or 5 hour long council
Yeah,
meetings.
because on the planning committee, they do that, and that's how they do it electronic.
All right, there's a nomination and a second to the nomination. All right, so take a vote. Well,
We
let's
voted
take
on
a
that.
nomination.
We already- oh.
Let's take a nomination and then we'll put this way together. Can we do that? All right. So that's secretary. Nomination for treasurer. Come on, Mr. Joyce, you wanna do it?
I'll do it.
There we go. There we go.
All right. The nomination for a secretary and a treasurer. And last but not least, vice chair. Mr. Dixon, will you take that nomination? All right, wonderful. Someone could be-
No, we can't leave these two people. You're not getting out that
Support.
easy.
Right. Brad Large.
Always here if needed.
No.
Second nomination.
There's two up here. They got it. That's two nominations.
And you can fight it out.
Really gonna do this?
Want to keep both on the floor?
Yeah.
All right. So, let's put a motion on the floor to accept a nomination for secretary and treasurer. If there's no opposing nominations for those.
I'll move.
Separate, yes.
So I move that we nominate Elijah Jaya for secretary, for the position of secretary, and Ms. Joyce Walker for the position of treasurer.
Really? Join.
I think it's eventually somewhere right.
We'll make sure to mark you as president. Don't worry. So there is a motion on the floor to appoint Elijah as secretary and Ms. Joyce as treasurer. Second to that motion. All those in favor, please say yay. All those not in favor, say nay.
Yay.
That passes with unanimous consent. Congratulations, Elijah and Ms. Joyce. You are now the secretary and the treasurer of the development board. All right. So, Andrew, we are nominating and voting on officers. We're electing officers. So we have 2 nominations on the floor for vice chair. You have an opportunity to add to that if you'd like so far. Mr. Jeff and Mr. Chris have been nominated for vice chair. All right.
I'm coming in late, I just go slow.
Don't worry. We're all new, I've done it before. All here together, working it out. All together. All right, so we have two nominations on the floor for vice chair. So we'll need a motion to appoint or elect one of the two. And then a second. We could have double vice chair.
I know.
Yeah. All right, we need a motion for one of the two nominees.
I nominate that we, I hope I'm saying this properly. What's your, your last name is what? Seaver, as our vice chair.
All right, there's a motion on the floor to appoint Chris Seabrook as vice chair.
I second.
There's a second. Do we need discussion? Probably moved in second. Do we need discussion? Okay, so probably moved in second to appoint Chris Seabrook as vice chair. All those in favor, please respond with yea. All those not in favor with nay. By unanimous consent. Seabrook, you are vice chair. Congratulations. All right, so the board is seated.
So
Jasmine
let's-
College chair.
Right.
The board is seated, Jasmine College chair, Chris Seabrook is vice chair, Elijah Jaya as secretary, Commissioner Walker as treasurer. All right. Meeting schedule. So, the bylaws require that we meet, we scroll back to it. That we set a regular meeting schedule. So regular monthly meetings of the authority can be held at a time and place designated by ethics court. We have to put a legal notice out, we'll keep the date for this meeting. If we call a special call meeting, the chair can call a special call meeting or a majority of the board. We have to notify everyone of that special call meeting at least 3 days, 3 business days in advance. Typically, we won't have that problem with our quorum for a special call meeting. You'll need to know that people at least have that number of people present, so 4 is our majority. Yeah. So we need to kind of decide. We want to meet monthly, and then if so, what is that meeting schedule? We want to meet quarterly, we want to meet hourly, we want to meet. And as we get, business starts to really pick up for us, we may end up having to have a special call meeting, but I think that we should start off with at least deciding, when we will have our regular meeting, so that folks who want to participate can kind of plan for that, including those who are interested in asking the development authority to do something for them. They'll need to be able to plan when the board is going to meet. So this is the schedule, this is the calendar right now for all the other boards of the city, so that we can kind of look at what days are available or what times of the month.
Mayor, where can we find that right there? Website or something?
Yeah, this is on the city website. Kind of scan through real quick and see when, yeah. See a second and third Tuesday, I don't see, okay, no, that's not true. I see a first Tuesday, second Tuesday, and third Tuesday. So 3 of the Tuesdays of the month are already taken. Council meeting
second, fourth Monday. So second, fourth Mondays are taken. I don't see Mondays on any, here for anyone else. So. Looks like they're all Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays.
Because I know the one I'm on is on Tuesday, so, yeah.
The, like, yeah, first Tuesday. I imagine that people stay away from Fridays on purpose. So like if we can agree to also stay away from Fridays. Looks like Mondays are awfully busy as well. Well, second, fourth is already occupied. We can do a first or a third if we want to do a Monday. We can get on Wednesday, I said second, the third Wednesday. A fourth Wednesday and a second Wednesday.
So we keep it on
Second,
Thursday.
third, fourth.
Is this set for anybody today?
The second, yeah, they Thursday. The first Thursday or the fourth Thursday. I don't see a second. Is there a third? What am I thinking?
Stonecrest.
First Thursday and a third Thursday. You know, Thursday and a fourth Thursday.
Second.
So there isn't a second Thursday. Is that right? What Thursday is it? The second Thursday?
I think so.
Yes.
That worked out. But look at. Okay. Let's see what it is. Go with next Thursday? All right.
My only hiccup will be fall.
Fall season? Okay.
I'm
That's
looking at dates.
September, October, November? And every Thursday?
Right now, both of the weeks. I'll look at when it falls.
Okay.
So. I can do virtual.
If it falls on a second Thursday, we can look at that week and see if that week, can we move it to another day? It can't be Monday, because we need council meeting on the second Monday. But we'll take that week and just say, is there another day that week? Even if it is another meeting, we'll come in here like we're doing today and let that meeting run in there, or maybe we'll flip the coin, we'll see. Who moved? We said second Thursday, who else we got? There's a second Tuesday. We may be able to negotiate with the Economic Development Committee to swap rooms if we need to. The second Wednesday. Okay, so yeah, worst case is that week we may swap, and maybe that committee is not meeting that week. A lot of them kind of only meet as projects and things come up. It looks like the transportation only meets March, June, September, and December. So we should be good to go if we had to move to a Wednesday in August, October, November. So I think we're.
And I know well in advance.
Okay, so we'll agree that we will meet on each month, second Thursday. All right, secretary, you write that down. Is 6 o'clock good?
Yes,
Each
Second
Monday, every month.
Each month,
Thursday.
I mean, each
every
month.
second Thursday. 6 p.m. All right, for the sake of formality, we better vote on that. We have a motion to meet on the second Thursday each month at 6 p.m. All right, then probably move to second. The development authority will meet on second Thursday at 6 p.m. each month. All those in favor, please respond with yay. All those not, with nay.
Yay.
All right, it's been passed with unanimous consent. And last but not least, before we go into executive session, I wanted to discuss the current financial status of the development authority. The prior development authority had roughly $13,000 in a bank account, and I'll tell you why I said a bank account. And then 2 transfers from the city's account were made into the account labeled the development authority. those two transfers happened after the city council had defunded and defunct the development authority. So those transactions were improper. The prior development authority also, after those transactions, withdrew $25,000 of that. So what remains in that account is roughly about $138,000. Unfortunately, $150,000 belongs to the city. So the first transfer was $50,000. The second transfer was $100,000. Both transfers happened again after the development authority was defunded and defunct by the city. So those two transfers were not authorized. So $150,000 is owed back to the city.
I'm not sorry.
We don't have 100.
No.
Yeah.
we only have $138,000. Attorney Thompson is joining us. Attorney Thompson represents the city. Again, he and the other attorney on the line are just here to make sure that we are not violating laws by meaning they do not represent the development authority. So the account today has $138,000 roughly in it. To complicate matters just a little bit more, the account was created under the city's name with the city's EIN. So the development authority will need to open its own bank account with its own EIN so that we can separate the financial transactions from the city and the development authority. We will work on that together, you and I. The development authority does have its own EIN. So we just need to get the proper paperwork and open an account in the development authority's name. We will need to have a discussion with the city to sort out the balance owed to the city from the development authority. So I use the word discuss intentionally because we do need to have that conversation with the city, but I just wanted to at least give you an idea of where the development authority stands financially.
When you say the city, you mean the council?
I would likely have a conversation with the attorneys and the CFO before the city council. It will ultimately be the decision of the city council to kind of decide what the city is willing to do. But that is not a discussion we've had yet. Obviously, the mayor and CFO and the legal team is well aware of the scenario. We were back then when it happened, remain aware. Nothing else has changed, of course. But we need to sort that out.
Was this money that if the development authority hadn't been defunct, that would have been owed to the development authority, or was this just completely wrong in that?
The development authority, so the city council did budget for the development authority to have for the year $150,000.
What is this kind of money used for in this committee?
Well, many different things. An example could be if you were not meeting here at City Hall, you may have to pay rent and have a meeting space.
Oh, okay.
You may have to pay for staff to run the meeting. You may have to pay the attorney. In this scenario, the IGA has taken some of those expenses off of the development authority and put them on the city. So a development authority could have personnel expenses, real estate expenses. When you do financial transactions, there's cost to that. So there's quite a list of things that expenses that the development authority could have as they operate. So it was money that was budgeted for in that budget year. Now we're almost 2 budget years from that. But because the Development Authority was defunded and defunct, it should not have been transferred. It essentially should have stayed in the city budget. And if it never was transferred, it would, and it's now getting to a government accounting, but it would fall into the city's reserve and it would just roll over. But it was transferred and it remains there.
With the formation now, how is the new budget determined, or are we still rolling off the 150,000?
No, you're not rolling on 150,000 because that was 2 budget seasons ago. The city's budget does not have funds allocated to Development Authority today.
Would that change with us being formed now, or?
We could ask the city council to provide some funding. I think that would be an interesting conversation today, seeing as we owe.
That's what I'm thinking. Because we
I think
owe.
we would just sort out how to become whole first. before-
I was thinking if we were previously budgeted 150,000, and we could say, don't grant us that money, let us allow us to keep the money that we have, then that.
It's an idea. I think that because we're 2 budget seasons ago, that's kind of just history of what happened. I wouldn't necessarily use that as justification for a forward conversation.
Do we have access?
So we
to
have-
that? We have access to that 150.
You do not.
Okay, I'm-
No, it is technically in an account under the city's EIN number. So it is in the city name.
from that, and.
So it can't be touched by anybody outside of it.
So since it was done in the city's EIN number and it's in the city's name, should it really fall on the Development Authority? Because it technically was just transferred from one pocket to the other pocket. You just called this pocket the Development Authority.
Right. So we fall on.
So right now we're saying that we're at a deficit because we need to pay the city, or the Development Authority or whatever owes the city the 150,000. But technically, they never paid it to the Development Authority. They paid it from one account that they own to another account that they own.
Right.
So does that really fall on the Development Authority, or can they not just access those funds? Because we can't get to them. So.
Right. But the city, I think, took the right approach, which is not to touch it until the Development Authority was seated to have that.
Okay. So then could
Because
we?
technically the 13,000 that was in there belongs to the Development Authority, at least under my interpretation, because it was not monies transferred in. It was monies it already had.
Okay.
So the 13,000 is not money that came from the city. It is money the Development Authority earned on its own. And then the city transferred the 150. And then the Development Authority spent 25.
I apologize for not being here. I wasn't.
You were here.
Here, so 6 o'clock still over there. But the question, have y'all went through what is the role and training for members of the Development Council? Like you mentioned that they created revenue. How did they create revenue? Y'all had that level of discussion.
Not today. So when we appoint the attorney, one of the things I wanted to ask the city attorney to do is to bring in a trainer.
And it did say about training in some of them.
So we can have true Development Authority training.
Okay.
Before we get knee into anything, is to have. So we might have to find some dates, and we'll talk about it. It may not necessarily fall on a second, third, but we'll talk about some dates where we need to have.
And they would go in more so deep in expectations, what we can do.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is like my umbrella is under a corporation of real estate, so. I'm
And it may
trying to
take
figure
more
out
than
how
one training.
to-
session.
Yeah.
It may
Yeah.
have to do 2.
depending on how long we're willing to stay.
Okay, I feel better.
Maybe on a Saturday, maybe it's a half a day Saturday, we get it all out of the way. If we have to do it on a weekday, maybe it's 2 hours one day, 2 hours another day. We'll figure it out what's the best kind of schedule to do it.
That's great. I feel like, 'cause it's just trying to understand. Yeah.
And that's why I just wanted
I kept reading,
just said,
reading,
guys,
trying
I'm
to-
not gonna make any decisions today about the finances. Just wanted to kind of put it on the table about where we are financially,
Okay.
that we've got to kind of sort out. We definitely have to open a bank account, so that's good. But then the discussion, because we have to have to settle it. And no one else can, the city could not obviously create that bank account for the developer.
We also have to have money to put in the bank
We
account.
do, so we have to sort out that before we make. We do.
That's a good point.
So the prior development authority has a very large bond with the Allen Family Investment Group. And that bond created revenue. They also, I think they brokered a couple deals much smaller than that in their time as well that generated. So that you will see revenue generated from the different projects that development authority partners with. If that's common. And obviously that number ranges depending on a large project, a small project, and depending on what the developer is asking for, the incentive that looks like. So there's a lot of different mixes of what the revenue can be and then where that revenue is generated. But we should expect, you want to generate revenue. Yeah. That also helps obviously the next project. So, because there's a lot of, just like in real estate, you're doing closing deals, and there's a lot of fees that goes into these kind of deals. I don't like the word deal, but that's what it's called.
Transaction.
There you go, transaction. So you want to do transactions that generate revenue. Some development authorities have a large cost. They also have large territories where you're doing projects all over. I mean, we're a large city, of course, so our 38 square miles will likely render quite a few projects. But you can imagine that like the largest county in the state would have a rather large development authority. Yeah, high, probably a lot.
So are we in the midst of our goal, one of our, the opportunity to just purchase different, let's say, or we're gonna release or sell certain buildings, things like that, assets we have?
We'll talk about that in executive session.
Do we have or can we have insurance for the board?
Yes, you can, no, you don't.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that, yeah, you know, we have different.
Yeah, it covers, I think within the IGA covers more assets.
Yeah,
Um,
but I think you're referring to, we're not,
you're-
officers.
indemnification, that's what you're referring to.
But the attorney will walk the board through all of that.
Okay,
What we have, we don't have, what needed, what helps protect, what keeps, we'll make sure the attorney does all that through training. So then before we make any transactions whatsoever, that we've got some clarity about what we can and cannot do, what we should have, what we should not have.
okay.
And then I know we just talked about doing a regular meeting on the second Thursday of every month, but as we're trying to go through and get things kind of off the ground, should we have another meeting for then or? after
I
then, or
anticipate that we
something
will
like that?
probably, I don't know that that will come between now and next month. I think from now and next month, we'll really try to work out training. But it's possible going
Yeah,
forward.
can you meet like a different, or is there some kind of law where you can't just have a meeting?
Well, we have to follow Open Meetings Act,
Uh-huh.
so you can't have a quorum. If you have a quorum and you haven't done legal notice, then you're in violation of the sunshine. Yeah, so you can meet with the quorum is 4, you can meet with less than 4. But we'll go through ethics with the training as well.
Because obviously you don't want to commit the development authority to any debt, or make any promises of any kind. So we'll go through ethics as well to make sure everybody's, and we will likely sign, an oath. Yeah, we're gonna make sure we got everything taken care of, and laid out early, so we can be comfortable and confident in what we're doing. But the attorney will help guide a lot. All right. We got comfortable with that conversation? I know we got a little uncomfortable fast. It's the reality of the situation, but it's not something that we cannot resolve. And I think it's safe to say that it's in the best interest of both the city and the development authority that both can survive and can operate. So I don't see the city trying to harm the development authority or vice versa. So we'll certainly have a conversation and figure out what that looks like, what that solution looks like legally. We can't just decide, we'll forgive it and move on, or, there's all kind of government accounting and law, and that will dictate kind of what the options are. So we'll talk. And then when we meet again, I'll be very prepared to have a deeper conversation about options. Okay. In the meantime, we'll work on training. Write that down then. Between now and next second Thursday.
Ethics training. Ethics training. I like cyber training. Just understand it. If you like a reading, like, gotta understand. I gotta understand.
Yeah. And we want to be comfortable. We don't want to begin to have developers making presentations and having conversations and we're not comfortable with what we can and cannot. Yeah. All right. Any more discussion on that? If not, we will take a vote to go into executive session. From going to executive session, no one else can be in the room, but our public commenters already know this.
Thank you.
So once we vote, I will pause. I'll pause the recording. I'll turn the camera off. I guess we're gonna have to call. At least one back in the room. We're gonna have to call each other. Terry. You still have my cell phone number?
I believe so.
Okay. All right. So I'll take a motion to go into executive session
Move that we go into executive session.
on real estate matters. Sorry, guys.
I make a motion that we go into executive session on real estate.
Second.
And probably motion second to go into executive session for real estate matters. All those in favor, please respond with yay. All those not with nay.
Yeah.
Yes, that's probably moved, second, and approved to go into executive session on real estate matters. Bye. Okay, let me take this down and put it in the back. Okay, we'll take a motion to come out of executive session, back into our regular meeting.
I move that we come out of the executive session and move back into our regular meeting.
It's been properly moved in second to come out of the executive session and enter back into the regular meeting. All those in favor, please respond with nay. All those not with nay.
Yeah.
Okay, it's been properly, nope, we already moved it. By unanimous decision that we will come out of executive session and back into the regular schedule meeting. We also, and I apologize for this, we need a motion to accept the minutes of the executive session.
I move that we accept the minutes for the executive session.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second to accept the minutes from the executive session. All those in favor, please respond with nay. All those not, please respond with yay.
Yay.
All those not with nay. Accept the minutes of the executive session. So we have satisfied all the minutes, all of the items on the agenda. But before we end, let's go around and introduce ourselves one more time and kind of our background or area of expertise and all that fun introduction stuff. So.
Elijah,
Take it on the record. Let people know what we do and why.
Elijah Giant, I've been here for Stonecrest. At least 8 years. General contractor. I get my real estate license, also an investor. I'm also, the reason my fall schedule is funny because I'm also local. So, that's wow.
Okay.
That's cool.
So, oh, I have a wife, 14 years and 3 beautiful girls.
And what district?
Yeah, District 3.
That's one.
Uh,
Each district equal.
I'm having to put my tires from driving in this.
My name is Jeff Dickerson, and I am a journalist by trade for the last 23 years. But I'm a business called Dickerson Communications, which specializes in crisis communications. It mostly represents governments and government agencies, and some private companies, and occasionally individuals facing crises, the public or in the press.
I'm Joyce Walker, District 2. I am happily retired from IBM and
Yeah.
Caterpillar, the two companies that I worked for. And I'm just having fun.
Jeff, tell us what district you're in. District 5.
District 5, that's big district.
And you're in 2, right?
Huh?
You're in 2.
2,
Andrew Shamlin, I don't know the number, but Turner's my.
4. You're 4.
My background, I'm a financial advisor. I own my own practice. I've been an advisor for 25 years. I've been franchised on 2004. I get involved in the basis of my practice is financial planning, which is vastly different than investing. As people find out when they get close to retirement that they haven't managed their assets like assets. They got some assets, but they haven't got any gold. I've been moved to Lithonia back in it's a long time. Built my house in Hunter's Pace in 1985. I was the first resident over there, which is me and the deer and the snakes. I used to go walking and saw a 5-foot snake. I got rid of him. That bucket, I wasn't moving. And the other part, I mean, my life, I used to be a marketing executive in national schools in Canada. And I created new companies, new divisions and things like that. That's why I got into this. I'm making more money for them than that's for me. And I've been married, my children are growing and gone, and it's nice. You don't have to worry about them.
Jennifer Capers. I'm in District 3. I've been, let's see, I retired from AT&T about 25 years of project management and contract and purchasing, marketing. You know, if you've been with that company, belts off AT&T back in the day. It moved a lot, couldn't be flexible. But that was how long I got there. Okay, so then after I left there, I went into prior to leaving there, I went into real estate. So residential, whether it's luxury or just assisting people with purchasing a home. I do that as well as in Caldwell Banker, you can partner a lot when you have your residential license and then you partner a lot for commercial. So I've dealt with the entertainment industry and some deals and love hip hop and other places that can secure places for taping and things like that. But so I do a little bit, I dabble in that as well. Work for a nonprofit. Well, they asked me to work for a nonprofit, kind of got thrown into it. For a sorority sister. Detroit, yeah, they call on you, but I consult them for men and women's health. So been busy. So I'm just doing my thing every day. If you get me on the phone, just call or text. I'm okay, I'll answer. I could be with a client or I could be out, but I answer all my phones, okay?
Well,
I've been here. I've been in the city. I've never been here. I've been a property owner for about 30 years. And I've lived in different counties as well, but I've been a property owner for about 30 years. So I was here when you could see the trees up Nola Road and single lane, and when the I-20 and all of that, and when the stores came. So I know those neighbors never want to do anything. They don't quite like change. They like their green, but things are evolving, and I think it's time for change to keep the city alive and growing. Because I see cities that can die because you don't have any growth. You don't have any growth. So I'm all for it. I'm excited about working with you guys.
All right, so Chris Seabrook, I'm a longtime resident of the Cab. I grew up here in unincorporated Lyconia, and then moved away for a little while. I got married, moved back, and then bought a house here in Stonecrest on the District 5. Been married for 12 years. I have 2 daughters, so threw me off. I'm married for 12 years, 2 daughters. By trade, I'm also a financial advisor, or I'm licensed as a financial advisor. I'm actually a market developer for Thrive. And let's see, in the community, I'm a founding president for the Stonecrest Chamber of Commerce. I sit on the board for the Stonecrest Business Alliance. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but
happy to have each of you representing the fine community of the city of Stonecrest on development authority. A lot of good work we have ahead of us. I'm excited to work with you. I'm Jasmine Cobble. I'm the mayor. Serving proudly all 60,000 constituents. So this is just the next step for Stonecrest to really keep pushing forward and achieving all the goals that we set out to achieve in 2017 when we decided to incorporate. So this is just a revitalization of the original plan to accomplish the goals of serving our community by representing our community from people who only live in our community. So I'm excited to be a part of it and help guide the alignment and the relationship between the development authority and the city. So just happy to be here. Happy to meet with you every second Thursday at 6 p.m. And if there's nothing else, we'll adjourn so you can have the rest of your evening. I'm headed to the gala, the Women of Wonder Gala for the Stonecrest. So I'm headed over there to see if I can catch the end of it and tell everybody thank you. So happy your evening back. Thank you so much.
Thank
And we'll be in touch for our next meeting a training. Appreciate it.
Yes, that's kind of